Now, if you've ever used the phrase nailing your colours to the mast, well, you have to thank an 18th century sailor from Sunderland for that. That expression was coined during the Battle of Camperdown against Holland in 1797.
Yeah, the English were losing and the ship's mast was struck, bringing down its flag. Jack Crawford climbed to the top under a hail of gunfire and he nailed the flag back on.
He became a national hero, and now a North East film revives his story. Here's a preview, which starts at the beginning of Crawford's career in the Navy.
As an experienced sailor, the world that Crawford entered would not have been that much of a culture shock. He would have been used to the cramped conditions, living his life regulated by sailing duties and sharing his cramped space with many others. In fact, the life of a sailor in the Royal Navy has to be looked at in contrast with those on land. In the Navy, you were pretty much guaranteed to be fed 3 square meals a day.
You probably got fed a lot better than you would on land. You got fed a huge amount of food and almost permanently drunk from the grog. I should think it was a tough place if you weren't hard and self-confident and physically fit. But if you weren't, you either survived and got hard and fit, or you didn't survive.
And here's one of the men behind the film, and in front of the camera, Mark Thorburn produced and presented it. Welcome, Mark. Why did you want to retell this particular story?
Jack Crawford was a young Sunderland lad, and he's almost unique, I think, in maritime naval history. The admirals and the captains and the Nelsons and everybody else are applauded right, left and centre. But Jack is probably one of the few, if only, common sailors who achieved fame in his own lifetime and obviously beyond.
It was a very brave thing to do, wasn't it?
Not so well known now, though.
Well, that's the thing. He's a very curious character in that he was famous at the time. He attended all kinds of fetes and he got a pension from the king at the time. Then he fell into obscurity, buried in a pauper's grave. Then he was forgotten about for about 50 years. Then high Victorian hero worship resurrected him, and monument was put up in Mowbray Park in Sunderland, and a gravestone was put down for him. And he became almost a poster boy, a tool, if you like, a political tool.
So he is remembered in Sunderland then, in Mowbray Park.
Very much so.
Why do you think his particular story has endured over the years?
I think because it taps into a sort of boy's own heroism. It's a great story to tell about how an individual, you've got a great fleet battle going on with warships and wooden walls and those kind of things, but you have an individual and one particular act of courage that stands out, and as you quite rightly said, nailed his colours to the mast. He was the man who did it.
But you've just gone through his life story there. It actually didn't end well for him, did it?
It didn't end well for him at all, no. I mean, he had this pension from the king. He eventually left the Navy, returned to Sunderland, and died of cholera in 1831.
That pension was it £90?
It was £30, £30, which is a great deal of money for.
I was going to say, what would that be worth in the late 1700s?
Now you're asking me, but it would be thousands of pounds.
He would have been well off.
Something that a sailor like him could never have achieved.
Your passion for this is obvious, and you're in this because you're a filmmaker and you want to tell these stories, don't you?
Yes.
Incidentally, if you want to watch the film, it's on YouTube.
That's right.
For a public audience, so search for Jack Crawford Camperdown film. And you've got others in the pipeline because local stories.
I mean, the thing about the North East, the thing about our region is that it's so filled with these historic stories, and to be able to talk to various museums and historical organisations to put these things together, for me personally, is a joy. The next one is the Great Fire of Gateshead in Newcastle from 1854. The quayside blew up.
There's a tease for us.
That'll be a great one to see. It's fantastic as well that you're telling us all about our history. Thank you.